Thank you for joining me. I've got the only decisive game from round 3 of the Tata Steel tournament that's going on right now. This game between this gentleman here, Jorden van Foreest. He is born in 1999, one of the top players in the world, number 57, rated at 2681, and he's playing against Fabiano Caruana. He is number 6 in the world, born in 1992. And yeah, he's from the United States, rated at 2766. So yeah, number 6 in the world here. But let's go ahead and get right into the game. These gentlemen play the Petrov. So we have pawn to e4, pawn to e5, knight to f3 attacking the e5 pawn, but knight to f6 attacking the e4 pawn. So again, this is the Petrov's defense. We now have knight captures on e5 by Fabiano. We have pawn to d6 by Jorden. And now knight back to f3. And this has been played many thousands and thousands of times in top level play. We have knight captures on e4 by the Grandmaster from the Netherlands. We now have pawn to d4, pawn to d5 by the Grandmaster from the Netherlands. And Fabiano plays bishop to d3. Now, in this position, there's a lot of different moves you could play. You can play knight to c6, as you see there, bishop e7, and actually the second most popular is bishop to d6 here. Even bishop over to g4 has been played hundreds of times in Grandmaster play, but this next move never has. Bishop to e6 has never been played in a master game. This has been played in a couple of recorded submaster performances. As of bishop to e6, we have a new game as far as the top level players are concerned. We now have castles by Fabiano, and now pawn to f5 by the Grandmaster playing black. And this is an absolute brand new game now. We now have queen to e2 by Fabiano. This is the best possible move in the position. And the best possible move in the position by Jorden, bishop to e7. And now knight to e5 by Fabiano and knight to d7 by black. Fabiano goes ahead and captures on d7, so knight captures knight, and we have queen captures knight on d7. Pawn to f3, best possible move in the position by Fabiano. Interesting here, you really can't take this knight here. It's just not a good way to play. If you capture the knight, then of course this pawn is going to capture back, and the bishop's going to have nowhere to go. He's blocked in. He could go to b5 maybe, and then the pawn pushes here, and he's just going to be locked out of the position. So black's pieces are going to be all firing towards white's king, and white's pieces are going to be largely shut out of the position. So it is not recommended to capture that knight. And the best possible move in the position by Fabiano, bishop to f5, and now bishop to f6 by Jorden. Pawn to c3 is the best move for white, played by the American Grandmaster. And now we have pawn to g5 by black. This is the best move in the position. Bishop now to e5 by Fabiano, and now knight back to d6 by black. Pawn to f4 by Fabiano, and now pawn to g4 by the Grandmaster from the Netherlands. Netherlandian? What is it? The Netherman? See the Netherman? We now have knight to b3 by Fabiano, best possible move in the position, and rook a to e8 by black. Now knight back to c2 by Fabiano, and now bishop back to d8 by Jorden. Rook a to d1 by Fabiano, and now pawn to c6. By the way, if you haven't already noticed, these gentlemen have played a fantastic game. They're nearly flawless. Both of these players playing at about 90% accuracy. Finally, we see where the knight is going. Fabiano moves his knight to e3, and now pawn to b5 by black. And Fabiano plays the best possible move in the position, pawn to a4 here. And we have b captures on a4 by black. And now queen to c2 by Fabiano. Pawn now to h5 by black. And Fabiano actually plays king to h1 here. Engine saying the best thing is just to go ahead and go pawn grabbing. Grab pawn captures, or queen captures a4, suggests to be the best possible move, saying that Fabiano's move is a mistake. But we'll go ahead and continue. We now have pawn to a3 by black, and Fabiano goes ahead and captures the pawn. Interesting here, now it suggested that it would actually be better just to push the pawn here, as these are double isolated pawns, so with the pawn sitting on b4, it's going to be impossible to do anything with that pawn anyway. So yeah, rather than capture, would have been better to push to b4, kind of hold the pawn structure for white intact, but we'll continue. So Fabiano plays b captures on a3, and we'll continue. We now have knight to c4 by Jorden, and Fabiano goes ahead and captures with the bishop. We have d captures on c4, taking the bishop on c4, and now king back to g1 by Fabiano. Black now blunders here and plays pawn to h4. And maybe pause your video for a moment and see if you can find the way that Fabiano takes advantage here and essentially gives himself a winning position and the game. Hopefully you've paused the video if you want to think of the move. But yeah, Fabiano plays knight captures on g4. Maybe you can spot why you can't capture the knight if you want to think about it. But yeah, if you capture the knight, it's just going to be mate in two as the queen comes to g6. You're in check. You've got to get out of check. The bishop is covering this square, so you can't run. The only move you have is queen blocks, and of course, bishop and queen join for mate in two. So cannot capture that knight. It is immune to capture if you want to continue the game. Jorden plays the best possible move in the position, just bishop to d5, and Fabiano just goes ahead and moves his knight back to e3. Fantastic spot for him, and there's a big hole around the black king here. We now have the best possible move by black, bishop to e4, attacking Fabiano's queen. He plays queen to e2 here, a very solid way to play this. And now we have the best possible move in the position by Jorden, skewering the queen and rook with bishop to d3. Fabiano plays the best move available to him. He plays rook captures on d3. We have pawn captures on d3 by black, and now we have queen captures on d3 by Fabiano. And if you look at it, there's been some interesting trades, but the position is equal. Both players with the same material as far as points. I forgot to mention the clocks over there, so you can see how much time on their clocks. And they get additional times if they make it to 40 moves. Right now, we are 30 moves in. We now have rook to e6 by black, trying to fill in that gap in front of his king. And now Fabiano plays rook to b1 here. We now have rook to g6 by black, and Fabiano plays rook to b8. Queen now to f7 by Jorden, and Fabiano pushes his pawn to c4. We have pawn to c5 by black, and Fabiano goes ahead and captures with d captures on c5. We have bishop now to e7 by black, and that was the best possible move in the position, but Fabiano finds the best possible response with rook to b7. We now have queen to e6 by black, and now rook to c7 by Jorden. Rook now to c8 by Jorden, and Fabiano goes ahead and captures the rook with rook captures on c8. Queen captures rook on c8, and now queen to d5. Check played by Fabiano. King moves to f8 here, and now best possible move in the position by Fabiano. Bishop to d6 here. We have queen now to e6, offering the queen trade, and Fabiano accepts, which is the best way for him to play this. With queen captures on e6, we have rook captures on e6, of course, and now knight captures pawn on f5 by the American Grandmaster. Bishop captures bishop on d6 by Jorden, and now pawn captures on d6, taking the bishop by Fabiano. Rook now to e1 check, best move in the position. We have king, of course, forced to go to f2, and now rook to c1, attacking the pawn. Best move in the position for white is just to play king to e3 here. You can't take the pawn here because if you do, just d7. And between the pawn and the knight, the king is blocked out. And yeah, there's going to be no way to stop the pawn promotion here. And it's actually going to be checkmate in 9 if you capture that pawn. So instead, we have king to e8 here by Jorden. And now king to d4 by Fabiano. Rook now to c2 by Jorden. And we have pawn to c5. And it is in this position on move 46 that black does resign the game. So Fabiano wins this one, the only decisive game in round 3. There is no obvious clear path to victory. It's just going to be basically impossible to it's going to be impossible to stop these connected pass pawns with the support of the king and knight, with everything else going on. Again, there's no direct mate in 9 or anything like that. Black just realized that he's not going to win this one against number 6 in the world. I probably would have fought on myself, just to kind of see where things went. But it is kind of the etiquette of these super grandmasters to resign a hopeless position, I guess. So anyway, yeah, that's the end of that one. Please stay tuned as I will be covering all the decisive games of the Tata Steel and yeah, as well as many other game reviews. Please let me know if there's a master or grandmaster that I should be covering that you think is interesting, and I'll definitely check them out, as I will be doing a game review every day. I'm also doing tactics, and yeah. Thank you for joining me. Take care. Bye-bye.